We are in First Kings chapters 13 and 14, and we are seeing how far the nation of Israel is falling. We're just a few generations past the powerful surge that the Israelites had and taken the land, and now we have a split kingdom. And we see the mistakes of Jeroboam, and we see the mistakes of Rehoboam, two kings from the north and the south, and who are just horrible leaders, not followers of God, and God doesn't put up with it. So, chapter 13. One day, Jeroboam was standing at the altar in Bethel, ready to make an offering, and suddenly one of God's prophets arrived from Judah and shouted, "The Lord sent me a message about this altar. A child named Josiah will be born into David's family, and he will sacrifice on this altar the priests who make offerings here, and human bones will be burned on it. You will know that the Lord has said these things when the altar splits in half and the ashes on it fall to the ground." Jeroboam pointed at the prophet and shouted, "Grab him!" But right away, Jeroboam's hand became stiff and he could not move it. The altar split in half and the ashes fell to the ground just as the prophet had warned. "Please pray to the Lord your God and ask him to heal my hand," Jeroboam begged. The prophet prayed and Jeroboam's hand was healed. "Come home with me and eat something," Jeroboam said. "I want to give you a gift for what you have done." "No, I wouldn't go with you even if you offered me half of your kingdom. I won't eat or drink here either. The Lord said I can't eat or drink anything and that I can't go home the same way I came." Then he started home down a different road. At that time, an old prophet lived in Bethel, and one of his sons told him what the prophet from Judah had said and done. "Show me which way he went," the old prophet said, and his sons pointed out the road and put a saddle on my donkey. He told them. After they did, he got on the donkey and rode off to look for the prophet from Judah. The old prophet found him sitting under an oak tree and asked, "Are you the prophet from Judah?" "Yes, I am." "Come home with me," the old prophet said, "and have something to eat." "I can't go back with you," the prophet replied, "and I can't eat or drink anything with you. The Lord warned me not to eat or drink or to go home the same way I came." The old prophet said, "I'm a prophet too. One of the Lord's angels told me to take you to my house and give you something to eat and drink." The prophet from Judah did not know that the old prophet was lying, so he went home with him and ate and drank. During the meal, the Lord gave the old prophet a message from the prophet for the prophet from Judah. "Listen to the Lord's message. You have disobeyed the Lord your God. He told you not to eat or drink anything here, but you came home and ate with me. And so when you die, your body won't be buried in your family tomb." After the meal, the old prophet got a donkey ready, and the prophet from Judah left. Along the way, a lion attacked and killed him and the donkey, and the lion stood there beside his dead body. Some people walked by and saw the body with the lion standing there, and they ran to Bethel, telling everyone what they had seen. When the old prophet heard the news, he said, "That must be the prophet from Judah. The Lord warned him, but he disobeyed. So the Lord sent a lion to kill him." The old prophet told his sons to saddle his donkey, and when it was ready, he left. He found the body lying on the road and the donkey and lion standing there. The lion had not eaten the body or attacked the donkey. The old prophet picked up the body, put it on his own donkey, and took it back to Bethel so he could bury it and mourn for the prophet from Judah. He buried the body in his own family tomb and cried for the prophet. He said to his sons, "When I die, bury my body next to this prophet. I'm sure that everything he said about the altar in Bethel and the shrines in Samaria will happen." But Jeroboam kept doing evil things. He appointed men to be priests at the local shrines, even if they were not Levites. In fact, anyone who wanted to be a priest could be one. This sinful thing led to the downfall of his kingdom. About the same time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, got sick. Jeroboam told his wife, "Disguise yourself so no one will know you're my wife. Then go to Shiloh where the prophet Ahijah lives. Take him 10 loaves of bread, some small cakes, and honey, and ask him what will happen to our son. He can tell you because he's the one who told me I would become king." She got ready and left for Ahijah's house in Shiloh. Ahijah was now old and blind, but the Lord told him, Jeroboam's wife is coming to ask about her son. I will tell you what to say to her." Jeroboam's wife came to Ahijah's house, pretending to be someone else. But when Ahijah heard her walking up to the door, he said, "Come in. I know you're Jeroboam's wife. Why are you pretending to be someone else? I have some bad news for you. Give your husband this message from the Lord God of Israel. Jeroboam, you know that I, the Lord, chose you over anyone else to be the leader of my people Israel. I even took David's kingdom away from his family and gave it to you. But you are not like my servant David. He always obeyed me and did what was right. You have made me very angry by rejecting me and making idols out of gold. Jeroboam, you have done more evil things than any king before you. Because of this, I will destroy your family by killing every man and boy in it, whether slave or free. I will wipe out your family just as fire burns up trash. Dogs will eat the bodies of your relatives who die in town, and vultures will eat the bodies of those who die in the country. I, the Lord, have spoken and will not change my mind. That's the Lord's message to your husband. As for you, go back home. And right after you get there, your son will die. Everyone in Israel will mourn at his funeral, but he will be the last one from Jeroboam's family to receive a proper burial, because he's the only one the Lord God of Israel is pleased with. The Lord will soon choose a new king of Israel who will destroy Jeroboam's family, and I mean very soon. The people of Israel will have made the Lord angry by setting up sacred poles for worshiping the goddess Asherah. So the Lord will punish them until they shake like grass in a stream. He will take them out of the land he gave to their ancestors, then scatter them as far away as the Euphrates River. Jeroboam sinned and caused the Israelites to sin. Now the Lord will desert Israel. Jeroboam's wife left and went back home to the town of Tirzah. As soon as she set foot in her house, her son died. Everyone in Israel came and mourned at his funeral, just as the Lord's servant Ahijah had said. Everything else Jeroboam did while he was king, including the battles he won, is written in the history of the kings of Israel. He was the king of Israel for 22 years. Then he died, and his son Nadab became king. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was 41 years old when he became king of Judah, and he ruled 17 years from Jerusalem, the city where the Lord had chosen to be worshipped. His mother Naamah was from Ammon. The people of Judah disobeyed the Lord and made him even angrier than the ancestors had. They also built their own local shrines and stone images of foreign gods, and they set up sacred pools for worshiping the goddess Asherah on every hill and in the shade of large trees. Even worse, they allowed prostitutes at the shrines and followed the disgusting customs of the foreign nations that the Lord had forced out of Canaan. After Rehoboam had been king for 4 years, King Shishak of Egypt attacked Jerusalem. He took everything of value from the temple and the palace, including Solomon's gold shields. Rehoboam had bronze shields made to replace the gold ones, and he ordered the guards at the city gates to keep them safe. Whenever Rehoboam went to the Lord's temple, the guards carried the shields, but they always took them back to the guard room as soon as he was finished. Everything else Rehoboam did while he was king is written in the history of the kings of Judah. He and Jeroboam were constantly at war. Rehoboam's mother, Naamah, was from Ammon. But when Rehoboam died, he was buried beside his ancestors in Jerusalem. His son Abijam then became king. I want to show you this picture that was done by a guy by the name of Jean-Honoré Fragord, something like that. It was done in 1752. It was a part of a contest that they did at an art school. And get this, this guy, it was 20 years old when he did this. He became famous. But I want to just make a couple of notes here. You have the golden bull, the calf that they worshipped. And here is the altar that broke in half and the dust came out of it. Just some things of his rendition of what had taken place. So we see the fall of these kings because they refused to honor God. And they were told over and over and given chances over and over, and they still chose not to worship him. Jeroboam sees what the prophet had done and still doesn't follow Rehoboam knows that Jeroboam's son is dead, and it's because he wouldn't follow God. And so we just see a terrible spiral that has taken place. And it's just not the kings, it's the people of Israel that are doing so as well. Have a great day. Follow God.